Good morning, everyone, and welcome into Wake and Take. It's your boy, Jason, and we've got some football to talk about today. Today, I'm going to be joined with a very, very, very special guest, Alan Seslowsky from RotoWire, from the Sonic Truth, from wherever you've been seeing him. Fantastic guest. I'm very excited to be chopping up with. We're going to be discussing pretty much everything going on in Dynasty Fantasy Football right now. We're going to cover with what happened with Rashee Rice yesterday, Travis Kelce's extension, and some other trending topics from around the league. And you already know, we'll talk about rookies, rookie drafts, flag plants, all that stuff. It's going to be good. So go ahead, take out your coffee, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Alan!
Wait a second. I thought this was Matt and Seth's show. Am I on the wrong show right now? What's going on?
Later tonight.
Yeah. No, thanks for the invite. That was a lot of varies for special. Usually you hear someone say it's a special guest. I got like 4 varies. So now I feel very welcome. Very, 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 very welcome.
You know, I love having you on, and I love tuning into Sonic Truth, really for just whatever you're going to say next. I think you're an incredible moderator, but also an incredible guest and analyst. So I'm just glad to have you here. I really am. I'm very, 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 very glad to have you here, Alan.
Well, thank you for saying that. On the rare occasion I get a word in with those 2 blabbermouths that I do that show with. You're right. It is fun. But thank you. As you know, I'm a fan of this show too. We've done the Love Fest. I was telling you before we went on air, I thought it's very interesting to see guys on the Player Profiler Network as they do all these podcasts, and I check in on them, I watch them, but to see you add a context doing a different format, and what I'm talking about, that long form, the draft stuff, you guys get better and better. So I'm always impressed. I'm like, damn, these guys are, stepping their game up. Always impressed that you guys could talk for hours off the cuff about these prospects and rookies. So well done by you.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, Player Profiler. We'll do whatever it takes to learn our rookies and get this audience in order, and and all the other players as well. And that's part of why we have you here today. We've got a lot of trending topics and divisive stuff right now. We're in the middle of draft season, whether it be rookie drafts, whether it be startup drafts, and everyone has questions. So let's talk about one of them first. It happened yesterday. Rashee Rice can't seem to keep his head on straight. Yesterday, he becomes under investigation by Dallas police again for assaulting, allegedly, a photographer in a club. When you saw this, what was your immediate reaction?
Real man right there. Real man assaults photographers in clubs, right? It's a colleague of mine, the guy works over at Yahoo, been doing fantasy football forever, Scott Pianowski. He used to had this great line. He'd say, once the knucklehead seal is broken, look out, right? As soon as Rashee Rice had that first incident with some instances like if this was the first incident that he punched a photographer, Rashee Rice, I'd be like, you know what? Some dude was annoying him and he was probably drinking and just whacked the guy. No big deal. But add this on top of the drag racing, which is true knucklehead stuff, right? So the knucklehead seal is broken and now you're in trouble. So I think that I'm normally a suspension optimist, meaning like it's always going to get reduced. We're looking at half the season. We already were looking at that before. So again, I'm not going to give you the cheap advice, Jason, and say buy low on Rashee Rice. No one's selling him low. You can buy him right now in Dynasty for a fair price. Like you want to trade, if you want to spend your 111 and not pick Brian Thomas and take Rashee Rice, you can get it right now. So it's not buy low, it's buy at a normal price is my, would I want him though? Probably not. Like I said, that knucklehead seal has officially been broken twice now.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. I was honestly kind of staying away from the Carr thing too, really mostly just because he's a wide receiver. I mean, there's just so many wide receivers in fantasy football, and I don't really want to attach myself to the one that I don't even know if I can rely on reasonably, especially with the Chiefs getting Hollywood Brown, now drafting Xavier Worthy, of course, as well, and extending Travis Kelce. It's just, it is not a positive soup. That's a terrible way to phrase it for Rashee Rice, setting up for the future. So we'll just go ahead and move on to Travis Kelce.
Well, a couple more things here, right? Yeah, so, but I do think there is, like I said, a buying opportunity, and obviously any second round pick, in Dynasty, you're doing that. But I'm asking you, would you, it sounds like no, like you're picking at 112. You won the league. The guy says, hey, man, and you're sitting there and Michael Penix is on the board. Trey Benson's on the board. Brian Thomas, Ladd McConkey. Would you rather have all of those players over Rashee Rice?
I definitely Trey Benson, Jonathan Brooks, Michael Penix, Bo Nix. I'm taking that kind of range. When it comes to those wide receivers, maybe Ladd McConkey. I might take Ladd McConkey, Brian Thomas, and Keon Coleman over him too, just because
That's what
you
I'm
get
saying.
the freshness, you get the fun. They all got really good landing spots as well. I know that the ceiling's going to be the question mark for all three, but I mean, you're talking about potential wide receiver 1 on the Bills, potential wide receiver 1 on the Jaguars, and potential wide receiver 1 on the Chargers as well with Justin Herbert. It's pretty exciting stuff for all three of those rookies. So I think I mean, like it's going to have to be a mid to late second, but even then, and this might age poorly, but I'm a big Roman Wilson guy. I could be staring him in the face and be like, do I just take Roman Wilson? Like
AD Mitchell fell to a spot where nobody likes him, and he could end up being, the guy. I mean, look, in the real NFL draft, AJ Brown and DK Metcalf were second round picks, right? Why can't AD Mitchell be that guy?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Alec Pierce has failed tremendously. Josh Downs' usage fell off a cliff at the end. I mean, it's so you could paint a picture for so many people, and you can probably get some sort of value on top of those even later second round guys. I mean, shoot, you could get Javon Baker, another guy who's just steaming up right now, early third, late second with him as well, and get a nice cherry on top and just get out from the Rashee Rice stuff. It seems that he's just, as you put it, a knucklehead, and the seal has been broken. And there's one coach in the league that does not like that. And his name is Andy Reid. So he's definitely on some thin ice. Already not at the training camps as well. He's remotely participating. Yeah.
And the other thing is, I had a friend the other day showing, you know how people post on social media their best ball? I always like, who gives a crap? We all play best ball. I don't need to see your first 4 round picks. Every team is good after the first 4 rounds. He was a friend of mine. He was boasting how he got Rashee Rice in the 6th round. And I gave him the knucklehead speech. I said, it's not a good pick in best ball, because in Dynasty, where it's a whole different discussion, right? Because there's future value. 2024, Rashee Rice, man, just go up to your draft cheat sheet and just cross them off. I mean, I think that's the best policy right now.
I'm with you. I will shout out Thomas here in the chat. He got Rashee Rice for a 4th round pick. I don't think you mess up there. I think that is the perfect. Like, if you can
come on, that doesn't happen. You sure he's not talking about Brandon Rice?
He's got to be, right? He's drafting Jerry Rice again, just hoping he comes out of retirement with that pick. That's Thomas. That's good value, even if he's suspended for the entirety of this year.
If he retires, that's a good thing. You just put him on your, I mean, those picks aren't going to work out anyway.
What's the opposite of the taxi squad? Like, how do we keep rostering suspended players? Tom Brady, all those guys.
Pretty much, yeah. You just
cut them, right? The Her Squad. We coined it here.
I have after the Tom Brady roast, I kept one share of Tom Brady in like a super deep league. It just seems like there is an outside shot that a playoff team, Matt Stafford goes down, Rams are, headed in. It seems like that could be the one. So I have not cut Tom Brady yet in Superflex.
Yeah, I'm also not, and mostly just because he's such a good locker room presence. I mean, the guys on your team need to have that veteran presence, the guy who's been there before, who can win those playoff games and lead you to the Super Bowl. So Tom Brady sitting on your bench, it's just a morale boost for the rest of the guys on the squad.
I'd rather have Rashee Rice on my bench. I want the opposite. So very good. Yeah, we beat that Rashee Rice to death there. But I think that's the actionable piece. Redraft, no. You could try to trade him into the 1st round, get pick 111 for him. I think you do it.
Yeah, I think so. It depending on your team build. I think, as we'll talk about a bit later, these quarterbacks are falling a bit too far in our super flex drafts.
Yep.
But while we're on the subject of Rashee Rice and the Chiefs in general, Travis Kelce did earn himself an extension last week, 2 years, $34 million. When it comes to Dynasty, are you still in on probably the greatest tight end of all time?
Yeah, this is a 2-year contract, but it's a 1-year and we'll see contract if you look at it a little bit closer. So if he feels good, if the Chiefs' momentum is moving along and his body's right, it'll be a second year. So I think you have to act as if it's 1 year when you're thinking about him. And it's just this is I wanted to save this one for you. I was on the clock this morning, Jason, at 112. I looked down my roster. It was a league that I'd won and flex, and all the positions were pretty solid, which is why I won. I didn't really, I had like Trevor Lawrence and Lamar Jackson at quarterback. I have all these, everything. The only thing that was bad was I had Darren Waller at tight end. So this is a Travis Kelce topic right here. So I said, with 112, do you think I could buy Travis Kelce? So I was happy to do it. What do you think? Do you think that is a fair value in your rookie drafts for a team that's contending? Obviously, you're in a win now window. Give 112, get Travis Kelce. Which side of that would you rather in that context?
I think, Alan, it might just be because it's rookie draft season right now, but I think I am slightly on the 112 side. I like pressing that button, Alan. I love pressing that draft button.
I agree with you, Jason. And I trust, because I told you I need a tight end. I offered the guy, and he said, not even close. That was, like that little, And I was like, I was shocked.
Yeah. That is interesting that it's not even close, because I mean, you can get out from under that. Like if you've got Travis Kelce, you're not contending, you get that 112. You could take potentially the best running back in this draft class, whether you say it's Jonathan Brooks, Trey Benson.
He was off the board, Brooks, or else I just would have taken Brooks there.
Fair enough. But still, Benson, arguably the number one running back as well. I think that's how Player Profiler has it. You could probably still get a quarterback, or you could trade back again. I mean, you could take that 112, probably get a couple seconds, maybe get the tight end 2 of this class, get some Ben Sinnott on your roster.
No, I tried everything. I couldn't get out. So again, every league is different. And then, like sometimes when you're just like, you know what, I'll send this trade. It's probably not going to get accepted, but it's not offensive. Yeah. So I send out the 112 plus my 412 for McBride, and that guy accepts, which to me, I mean, that's a steal, obviously.
Yeah.
Steal. I mean, that doesn't happen normally. And what happened was I was looking at my notification, says Brian Thomas has been selected. I was like, wait, I didn't take him. Did I get auto picked? And then I realized the guy accepted my trade.
That's interesting. And so he traded Trey McBride essentially for Brian Thomas?
Yep. And he had Sam Laporta, so he probably thinks he has depth, but still, man, you can, the guy probably could have gotten more from me. I would have probably given my next year second as well.
Yeah, that's it. So congratulations on that move. I like that a lot. I do just, while we're on this topic, lastly, while we're on the Chiefs receivers, is Travis Kelce still the king of the doghouse this year in terms of targets, or do you think that Marquise Brown or Xavier Worthy is going to be pushing him this year?
That's a great question. I think my definite answer, like where my brain goes, and again, I don't know if this will be right, is that he's now in the Gronk phase of his career where they're going to use him, but sparingly during the regular season. You're probably going to be disappointed that he's more like 5 for 60 with no touchdown in most games. And then you get into those must-win games, and then you got your 10 catches for 110 and 2 touchdowns there. So I just think if we have to manage our expectations. In best ball, he goes in like the 4th round. It's such a fair price. But I am now in the, hey, they're going to use him sparingly mindset.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we saw last year, trying to save him for the playoffs, if you will. But even then, and shout out Player Profiler social media guys, go follow the Twitter account. We post a stat every night. It's just a fun one about whatever like trending players going on. Nothing like, not like super advanced or anything. But as we all know, Travis Kelce, to a lot of us, and especially by his own standards, did have a down year last season, his first year under 1,000 yards in a very long time. But he still finished top 3 in fantasy points and points per game, target share, red zone and deep targets, receptions, receiving yards, juke rate, expected points added. I mean, he's still a total stud, still finished 2nd tight end overall as well with limited usage last year. So if you need a tight end, it's Kelce.
Yep. And here's the thing about tight end. It's not about who finished 1st or 2nd or 3rd or 8th, right? Because we hear it all the time. The advice is there's not much difference between 8 and 16. It's how much separation there are. And the Travis Kelce in the 1st round case for many years was that he basically laps the field. Now he's just in that. Even Sam Laporta versus Trey McBride versus the next 3 guys, it's not that different. So there's tiers. Travis Kelce is now just basically, he's an every week starter. You don't ever have to think, should I start him or should I start the other guy? That is the utility in him. But I just did a draft for Lindy's magazine. They still do magazines, and he went in the 4th round in that draft. So that seems about where the market's going to value.
Yeah, I like it. I think that's a good spot for him.
Were you around for the magazine days, by the way? Did you ever buy a fantasy magazine?
Not a fantasy magazine, but I was definitely a Sports Illustrated Kids guy. I loved that magazine subscription. And then there was like one, not a sports magazine, but
I thought you were going to talk about the French porn magazine. It was called Oui, which obviously means yes.
Yeah, that's interesting that Oui has so many. Yeah, obviously it's a French word, but it's a yogurt brand and a French adult magazine.
Yeah. So wait, how old are you, Jason?
25.
Oh my God. I see. Okay. You see, you speak with such a, sophisticated and mature. So you definitely, I was going to ask if you were around in the dirty magazine era, but that's my era. I mean, you're a total, online Ucorn guy. I got you. Go ahead.
It is what it is. You can ask Seth though later tonight. Everyone, Alan's going to be on Dynasty Roundtable, 8 p.m. Eastern. So stick around for more Alan on Player Profiler. Seth says that I have a 60-year-old like mind.
Spirit. Yeah. You have there's a word for that. I can't believe it's escaping my mind, but you have they used to say if you have like an older spirit or something like that. You have there's a word, it's escaping me right now, but an old soul or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I use a double-edged razor. I drink Pabst Blue Ribbon. I still listen to records, it's just.
But that's hipster. That's not old. That's hipster.
It's not like I have a very sensitive neck, guys. And you know what? We're revealing it here. The reason I wear a turtleneck, I have very sensitive neck. I get terrible razor bumps. This mitigates that. I
can help you with that, by the way. I have a couple tricks because I used to get all the razor bumps too. I'll send you my my cream suggestions.
Oh man, I can't wait to get Alan's cream suggestions.
Name of the episode right there.
So let's go ahead and talk about another player that's making people cream right now in fantasy, and that is CJ Stroud.
Very good.
Coleridge Bernard Stroud the fourth, Houston Texans quarterback, Civil War general. Is he the quarterback one in Dynasty?
If you do it, I respect the move, and it takes extreme balls, but we have this thing in fantasy football and in real football is we always presume that they're going to get better in year two, right? What if that was it? Right? I mean, it's risky. The reason you take Josh Allen is because he's had 5 quarterback 1 or 2 finishes. The reason you take Patrick Mahomes is because we don't project players in Dynasty more than 2 or 3 years. Mahomes is a guy we could probably project in 5 or 6 years. So there's safety, there's floor in there. The reason you take CJ Stroud in the top, 2 or 3 or number 1 pick, Jason, is because he's 23 years old and he was a top 12 quarterback. But let's remember that he was a quarterback 11. He wasn't quarterback 1 overall. He wasn't RG3's rookie fantasy year. So there's more of a chance. You remember what we were taking Justin Herbert QB1, QB2 after his rookie year. And now he's like, a second round pick. So I need to see a guy do it twice to elevate him that high. But if you do it, I have a lot of respect for the move and I have no problem with it. Although I'm not recommending that to anyone who takes my advice.
That's fair. I'm doing it in 6-point passing touchdown leagues. I am going to do it. I because of that age, because of the weapons and just the historic rookie season. I mean, the 3rd most passing yards by a rookie quarterback of all time, 8th most passing touchdowns by a rookie quarterback of all time, wins the AFC South when people were expecting the Texans to only win like 3 games. He broke Andrew Luck's record for passing yards in a game by a rookie, was the first rookie ever to have a 400-yard passing game with 4 touchdowns and no turnovers. I mean, just a stud. So if you are in those 6-point passing touchdowns with that age, I don't mind it. I mean, pocket passing quarterbacks do have the longevity, generally seem to get injured less. So I'm okay with the investment, but I am with you. And I think that it's a great point in that we are taking the Hurtses, the Mahomes, the Allens before him because they've done it before. We haven't necessarily seen it yet from Stroud, though I do kind of think we will.
Dude, even I was in a couple startups this year and for some reason I ended up with 1.1 and I still took Josh Allen in both of those drafts. But man, is it tough because he turns 28. It's so easy to tell yourself the Cam Newton story, right? Where by age 30, it just stinks. Mahomes, it's like, man, he's QB4 in redraft and he already had a down year. I understand the longevity. Then there's Jalen Hurts, who's 25, who the offense, it's kind of like, listen, these are high class problems, Jason, right? When you're picking at the top. So who's your number 2? If you're taking Stroud at 1-1, if you were on the clock in a Superflex startup, who are you taking at 1-2? And I just outlined all the pluses and minuses.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably just going to have to be Josh Allen, although I think I might be one of the trade back people in those spots. Hopefully try to recruit some value.
Assuming you can't.
So it's Josh Allen. It's Josh Allen.
Right. If I could trade back to 4 and take Jalen Hurts and pick up whatever, sure. That's the move. Definitely. But because of shows like this, people are so smart in these rooms now. They're so sharp. It's so hard to trade back.
It's tough. It's so tough. It really is. Too many people are giving analysis for fantasy football. We've got too many of it. It's too accessible. We're making these people too smart out here.
Well, let me ask you this, Jason. What do you think the edge is? If information and strategy is no longer an edge because everybody is sharpening up, where is the small edges now, you think?
the edge is going to have to be someone who operates purely off vibes and for some reason has a really good gut feeling on certain players that just aren't being talked about. Like it's the person who has gone way too in on Jameson Williams. Only saying that name because it's me doing that. But it's someone with balls to invest in someone that everyone is saying to go away from. And that's how you've got to super zag these days, I think, because everything is there.
Right. Or yeah, you're just saying like, there's the whole portfolio players now that spread the risk. That's great. You're rooting for and against everybody. And I understand the portfolio mentality, but if you go all in on Jameson Williams and forget the portfolio and have 90% across your 10 leagues, if it hits, I mean, you become like a Bitcoin millionaire,
Exactly. I think that's what we got to do. I think with everyone kind of operating the same strategy, we've just got to revert. Right. And it's like everything. It's like fashion. It's like music. You've just got to go backwards. At some point, we're going to be drafting running back again in our seasonal leagues. It's going to come full circle again. We're going to move away from wide receivers and tight ends. So, whoever has the different build is probably the person on top right now.
Yeah.
Go ahead. No, okay. You brought up a trade earlier, so I'll just bring up one while we're on the topic of CJ Stroud. I traded him yesterday in a rookie startup again. I like pressing the button. So I traded CJ Stroud. Unfortunately, I hated doing it. I really did.
I better hear that basically somebody came over and blew you for this pick. All right.
They didn't. So, it was a fair trade. And I told them, I really don't want to do a fair trade, but I'll do it. It's a 2-quarterback league. My 2 quarterbacks were Brock Purdy and CJ Stroud.
So it's not a super flex. It's a must start 2.
Must start 2 quarterbacks.
Okay.
So there is a difference there. And so I got Justin Herbert, JJ McCarthy, Damian Pierce, and a 25 third.
Okay. So Pierce, I think at this point, he's valued at what, a rookie 4th?
Right.
Right. You're not going to get a 3rd for him in this draft, right? Because people like Malachi Corley, like Burton, all those. Okay. So you got basically 2 quarterbacks and a 3rd and a 4th. Yeah. Okay. All right. So McCarthy. Okay. So Herbert is depressed value. I still think that you and I both like him.
Yes.
I love this because I don't see much difference between Herbert and CJ Stroud. Not a lot of daylight. Certainly you're making up for it with the McCarthy, right? Because if McCarthy, he's going to have a year of great, you'll be able to get a single first for him, even if he has like a mediocre to bad year next year. Right. If you want out, somebody will be like, I believe in Justin Jefferson. So yeah, no, I mean, that trade is the right one, right? Would you do that same trade for Patrick Mahomes or for Josh Allen? If you were
a really good question. And I think my answer would actually be no. I think.
So how the hell do you have CJ Stroud rated higher then?
Well, because it's like in my head, and I think the way you said it is I'm going from a really high end pocket passing quarterback to another really high-end pocket passing quarterback. So I think if I'm trading a so maybe if it's Patrick Mahomes, I'm okay with it. Well, no, because they can't. So, you
see what I'm saying? Like
you got me good, Alan.
Look, this is not get you. This is talking through this stuff because it's because I went through this too, right? And I think ultimately winning matters, right, in fantasy football. And you don't want to just, take Mike Evans in the 2nd round because he's going to be better than Jordan Addison, right? There is age has to be considered. But at the quarterback position where it really matters, CJ Stroud there's a reason to take him 1 overall. But when you just thought through it a little bit, it's like just something to think about as you redo your rankings, So
yeah, I guess part of it is just you see these Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen trades, and they're always way more than that. Like people send multiple mortgages to get those guys, and I don't necessarily get that.
And taking a guy, when you draft a guy, it's not just about what the value they're going to give you and how they'll age. It's how the rest of the dynasty market's going to like them as well, right? So you take Jameson Williams, and even if he has a couple good games, the dynasty market's going to be so skeptical. It's going to be hard to. Let's say Jameson Williams comes out and has 6 for 70 with a touchdown in week 1, and then week 1, Brian Thomas has 6 for 70 and a touchdown. Which player is going to be worth more?
Brian Thomas.
Because they hate Jameson Williams. So that's what I'm saying. Like player likability does matter. I'm learning that more and more.
It really does. It really does matter. Which I think is an interesting segue into our next bit. We have a ton of people hopping around on the Bears. The Bears are everywhere right now in terms of who's going to lead this wide receiver room. And some people like Keenan Allen. Some people like DJ Moore. Some people like Rome Odunze. Where are you at when you're looking at this?
Is this a dynasty take or is this a more
Yeah, I guess answer it first. Which wide receiver are you taking in 24? And then in Dynasty, where are you at?
All right. So this is like the most boring take ever, but I still think that Stephon Diggs is probably the best player of those three this year. But you can
DJ Moore, right? Is that
you said on the Bears, right?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I'm thinking Houston Texans still. Sorry. DJ Moore. Sorry. We were talking CJ Stroud.
We were talking so much Stroud.
Yep. So Keenan Allen. That's where I'm going. I still think Keenan Allen is probably the best receiver, but 31 years old, right? So that's like a boring answer. I was aggressively taking him in the third round in these drafts until he was traded, right? And then you have DJ Moore, who broke out last year, and then Rome Odunze, who realistically, we're thinking about he's the rookie, so automatically the third option. What if right out of the gate he's the guy? So I think that it's like, you always often hear advice of take the cheapest one, right? That's kind of cheap advice, but I mean, if you're doing a bunch of best balls, I think it's savvy to this is a spread the risk, because he's a rookie quarterback, Caleb Williams. How many rookie quarterbacks really do finish top 12 right out the gate, right? I mean, I'm sure some, right?
I mean, we just talked about Stroud had a historic rookie season and finished 11.
Right. And then how many of these guys that are veteran quarterbacks can support two top 12 to top 14 receivers? Not many. Now you're talking about three. So if I'm saying one, it's got to be DJ Moore because he's the incumbent and he broke out. But man, I really don't have a strong take other than this is probably good for Caleb Williams to at least be, an upside, high floor quarterback. Like if you want to play weight on quarterback and get Caleb Williams at QB 12 to 15, I'm for it. But in that range, man, there's so many other quarterbacks. Who the heck are you putting your chip on in this thing? It's roulette.
For me, it's Odunze. I'm gonna lean into the rookie friendship. We're already seeing the bear claw thing. And I was talking with Seth Dewald, of course, Bears fan, in one of our meetings last week. And I already just know by July, there's going to be a secret handshake between the two. The Bears media is going to come up with some creative nickname for Rome and Caleb Williams. And it's just
like Benifer, that type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gotcha.
I just think it's going to blossom. And right now you could get him really cheap. Looking at underdog best ball ADPs, DJ Moore is 26.2. So going right at that kind of 2-3 turn. Keenan Allen has an ADP of 50. And then Rome Odunze is actually slipping right now with an ADP of 66. And I've seen him go lower and lower even. I just picked him up in the 7th round, I think, in one of my drafts.
Yeah, he's dropping. He's dropping a little. Yeah.
He is. And I mean, a top 10 pick.
Yeah, we had one of our commenters, Harry Snowman, said about the weather that it's actually not a terrible point. Like Keenan Allen's been playing in that LA sun, right? And now he's going to get tackled on the hard grass of a frigid day. I don't care how tough you are, that matters. So that is pretty interesting point. I have to say, it's like I'm going to bet on these guys until they fail. But man, is that a damn good point? Nobody likes to play in that cold weather, especially when you've been used to LA. I live out in Florida now. I can't even go back to New York without freezing my ass off. It's where I'm originally from, Jason.
You probably can't even make it up to Atlanta if you got used to the Florida weather. It gets too cold up here too.
Dude, when it's like 59, I'm like I can't even go outside anymore. It's crazy.
So you're on Keenan Allen. I'm on Rome Odunze. I think the audience can take away here, as you said, kind of take the cheapest one, take the value here. I know
I'm on Keenan Allen, but it's such a I have no conviction on that.
You're very lukewarm on Keenan Allen, which I don't.
But I like the unknown. But it's Rome Odunze is also a rookie. That's why if you're talking about just hey, I'm doing a $5 best ball, sure, I'll take whatever one. But if you're in a $100 redraft league with your friends, right, and you get one pick, and this is the guy you're stuck with, you know what I'm saying? So if Rome Odunze has 2 targets in week 1. 3 targets in week 2, and are you going to you're going to drop him for the high upside waiver wire pick?
Yeah, I'm calling it now. He'll be dropped for Christian Watson in some leagues by week 4.
I mean, unless he comes out of the gate hard, those guys are usually not holds at all. You know what I'm saying? So I think we lost Jason for a minute.
Yeah, my camera. I'm here, but my camera just shut off.
You look better like this anyway.
Thank you. Yeah, I like being a speaking circle.
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
So I guess
Good.
if you look at USC last year, just to kind of sum it up, give some insight, Caleb Williams had only 2 receivers last year at USC with more than 40 receptions and only 2 with more than 320 yards. And in 2022, he had 3 receivers with more than 40 receptions, being Taj Washington, Mario Williams, and Jordan Addison. No 1,000-yard receivers that year either. So he does kind of spread the ball around, kind of looking at this a little bit.
Yeah, and then you add in DeAndre Swift, right?
Right.
He catches 35 passes, right? And then I mean, let's remember, everyone liked Cole Kmet. He's good for a 40 catch season. So yeah, it's going to be tough. But listen, if there's an injury, I'm going to draft these guys. It better be like the 5th round for the veterans, like you said. If I'm going to take a shot on Rome Odunze, someone's going to always like a rookie better than me. I'm like always draft the Tyler Lockett, Mike Evans. I'm a boring drafter, but it seems to be a strategy that works. I take some upside shots like everybody else, but I'm not going to be as rookie crazy as the draft room. I can tell you that.
I think that's fair. So one last take on the Bears, and you make it quick. Are you buying or selling DeAndre Swift right now?
Oh, I love DeAndre Swift. You're getting him in the Rashad White area in redraft, and you can pretty much trade 2.3, 2.4 when Trey Benson's available to get him. I mean, I wouldn't do that, but that's what I'm saying. Like, you can get DeAndre Swift, no problem, and he's going to be an every week. I would say he finishes his RB 17 on the year. That's useful.
That is useful. It should have some spike weeks as well with that pass catching ability and just the explosiveness he has. So I like that call. The next offense I just want to ask you about, because no one has an inkling at all of what's going to happen here with the Jim Harbaugh Los Angeles Chargers. When you look at it, which running back are you targeting?
Gus Edwards, right?
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, he's the veteran, right? He's the one that Greg Roman, the offensive coordinator, is familiar with. Is he great? No, but you're getting him like in the 11th or 12th round of redraft, and obviously you can call your shot when you want him in a dynasty startup league. I mean, you can give 2.11, 2.12, which is like Roman Wilson. If you want him, that's probably an overpay. You could probably get like a mid-third for him if you want to really get him. So if you draft, it's trendy to draft your dynasty roster to have all good wide receivers. Then you need to fill in running backs. To me, this seems like the ideal guy. I'm not saying Gus is going to have like 1,000-yard season. It's probably going to be more like 700, but I would say 9 touchdowns is a reasonable, Justin Herbert's not really a goal line push type of guy. So yeah, I know there's rookies. I know I'm not going to bet on J.K. Dobbins being healthy. So yeah, Gus Edwards would be my guy, but it's a low upside. It's just a plug and play guy.
Yeah, Gus Edwards in 3 seasons with Greg Roman. In 2022, he had 400 yards with 0 touchdowns, but still averaged 5 yards a carry. In 2020, he had 700 yards, averaged 5 yards a carry, and scored 9 touchdowns, as you just pointed out. And then in 2019, had 700 yards and 7 touchdowns as well. With Greg
That's Roman. The season. That sounds like the season right there. 707. It's not going to be. It's just someone that can get you. It's like a 68% chance for a touchdown every week. And if you don't get it, it's a 7-point week. If you do get it, it's a 12-point week or something like that.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. And I mean, J.K. Dobbins in that same the season after, when Gus Edwards had 700 yards and 9 touchdowns in 2020, J.K. Dobbins was still able to get 800 yards. So, I think things are looking pretty good for that duo.
Where are you at on 6th round draft pick Kamani Vidal? I mean, give me the more realistic. I mean, is this guy a pass blocker? Because that's what he's going to need to be in there. Basically, if Jim Harbaugh is seeing the running back as another lineman, I would suppose, and also as a grinder. So what's the deal with Vidal?
So I am a Vidal guy, and I think that he has the potential to be a league winner if injuries fall his way. He's a very explosive running back. He gets the Isaiah Pacheco best comparable on PlayerProfiler, led college in rushing yards last season, and has a 91st percentile BMI, which is really, really high for a running back. You want that for a type of running back that the Chargers, Greg Roman, and Jim Harbaugh are going to be using. So it's a running back profile that I really like, with a landing spot I really like. So I'm pretty high on Kamani Vidal. I'm not going to lie. That is the running back I'm targeting.
All right.
I do expect him.
Jason, what round? Because I told you I did a draft with, quote, a bunch of experts the other day, right? So it was for magazines, going to be published. What round in redraft, single quarterback, do you think Kamani Vidal went in?
If you're where I think he went, end of second.
No. Sorry. It's a redraft league.
Oh, redraft.
Yeah, because obviously end of second, third, Kamani Vidal, no problem. Take him there, right?
Yeah, I guess what, like 12, 13?
You nailed it. It was 11. Everyone was like, oh, I was going to take him in the 15th. No, it's 11, 12, 13, right? That's the right spot. So, all right. So you're in tune. All for this, right? I mean, once you get into the double-digit rounds in redraft leagues, it's like, come on, man. Like, if there's an injury, if there's a training camp thing, like Kamani Vidal starting running back on the Chargers, I want him, right?
Yeah.
So I totally see that. And it's funny you say second round because you're talking about rookie world, right?
Right.
He falls sometimes to the fourth round, which is nuts, right? Anytime in the third round, I'm there. He's there. I want him for everything you just said. But who's the one who I think, like in fantasy redraft, I want to get off to a fast start, right? If I miss out on running back and I can get us Gus Edwards, it's a boring pick. There's no upside there. So I see and acknowledge everything you said about the upside.
Yeah, well, I mean, Gus Edwards is just going to be easy to acquire. Whoever has him just doesn't actually want him. And if you look at Jim Harbaugh's time in San Francisco, in 2011, they had the third most rushing attempts. In 2012, they had the seventh most rushing attempts. In 2013, they had the third most rushing attempts. And in 2014,
you talking about Baltimore?
Yeah, no, San Francisco with Jim Harbaugh.
Okay, you're going back that far because I thought you were talking Greg Roman. I was going to say
Greg Roman, also a very run-happy guy as well, though.
Right. And he's the coordinator, right? He's going to call the plays. So
right. Both of them, very, very run-heavy oriented player or coaches. So, and then, of course, having a pretty solid running back room. So I don't think you go wrong choosing any of them. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if J.K. Dobbins has some spike weeks before getting hurt, too.
Who was Harbaugh's San Fran quarterback? Was it Kaepernick?
Okay. And Alex Smith for 1 year.
Okay, because I wonder what happens when you take out the quarterback rushing attempts, because Herbert, by all accounts, is not really like a proactive rusher. Those have to go to the running backs too, then.
Yeah, definitely. Well, so in 2011, they were third in rushing attempts with Alex Smith. However, it is important to note, Frank Gore was their running back. I mean, you're going to feed Frank Gore so many carries. That's going to lean into it. And their wide receiver room wasn't the best. Michael Crabtree and Anquan Boldin, both really good. 3,000-yard seasons over that span between the two of them. Crabtree in 2012, Boldin in 13 and 14. So we have seen some wide receiver success on a Jim Harbaugh team and a Greg Roman team even. But is there a wide receiver on this Chargers that you're going after, or are you maybe just a Justin Herbert guy and letting the cards fall as they do?
Yeah, I mean, I like Josh Palmer before. See, I told you, I like all boring players. Josh Palmer, I liked him before the draft. And if I liked them before, I can't abandon that take just because they drafted Ladd McConkey in the second round. And I like Ladd McConkey.
Yep, I like Ladd McConkey too, but I think he's basically wide receiver 16 to wide receiver 50. Like, it's a very wide range of outcome with not much ceiling to me.
Get them both, right? Ladd McConkey, I mean, I don't even think he broke 800 yards in college. And I could listen, 800 yards in college is really good, right? I mean, it's not elite, but it's very good. So I took Ladd McConkey in that redraft league the other day in the 9th round. Obviously, you have to make a decision in rookie drafts. Do you want him to pick 110 to 203? That seems to be his range-ish in the drafts I've done. So I would still bet on Palmer year one. Herbert has the rapport with him. He knows the routes. He's produced in the NFL. But yeah, it's, given the spread, which you just outlined as well, I think that's interesting. But before we leave the Chargers, is Isaiah Spiller dead?
Oh, yeah.
I can cut him off my roster.
You can cut him. You can cut Joshua Kelly, who I don't even think is actually on the Chargers anymore. You can cut.
The reason I ask about Spiller specifically is because this is the year in most sleeper leagues that you have to make a taxi squad decision to elevate or cut.
Yeah, just get rid of him. There's so many backup running backs. You don't need the 4th string guy that was buried already on the Chargers.
Yeah. So I traded up for that son of a bitch.
That's the worst. That's the worst.
Never do
so
that.
I guess lastly on the Chargers, is Justin Herbert undervalued right now, kind of sitting around the QB 14 to QB 12 range?
He's properly valued, right? I mean, because is he likely to outproduce that? Sure, but try trading him. I've gone into the open market with Justin Herbert. Those are the prices that you're getting for him. So probably he's not going to produce. He's not going to be QB 18, right? If he stays healthy. Mm-hmm. Maybe he will. I don't know. But yeah, so there's only upside. So it's properly valued given everything that we've seen happen here. So, man, it wasn't too long ago. We were taking him ahead of Patrick Mahomes in some drafts, man.
I know. It is
so crazy. So wild. I love it. That's why I really love Dynasty, man.
It's so much fun. It is so much fun. And speaking of Dynasty and having to plan out your quarterback room, I mean, that is the way you stay ahead in Superflex and in the NFL. Michael Penix shocked the world, getting picked 8th overall to the Atlanta Falcons. What do you think about it?
I love the pick. I mean, at first I was shocked like everybody else. I was on the air when it happened. I thought I was being trolled. So I like it because it causes chaos. Obviously, it doesn't seem optimal. I'm not going to start going over this has been plowed over a bunch of times, but it's done, right? But there is precedent for this, right? So Carson Wentz many years ago got the huge contract, and then Jalen Hurts was starting the following year. So we have seen this actually happen in the real NFL, and that was a 2nd-round pick. It just sometimes like those NFL contracts, they don't seem to mean as much, and especially once it's a sunk cost, Jason, right? Like they're spending the $100 million on Kirk, and they have the rookie contract with Penix. They're paying that no matter what. So what happens if Kirk Cousins in week 6 just gets a rolled ankle and we get a clarified Penix start in week 7, and then he has the Will Levis first game, right? It's over, Johnny. It's over. It's over, right? So I think that if we're setting Michael Penix is under over at a half a game started this year, I'm taking the over. And this is exactly why at pick 9, he's in play at our Superflex rookie drafts. You're basically drafting a 2025 first when you take him, right? Because at any point this season, if he doesn't play a snap, you'll be able to get back a 25 first. In fact, he might be worth more because people will perceive that he's 1 year closer to starting.
That's exactly where I'm at. I am getting Penix everywhere I can. I think I've got him now in 3 Superflex leagues. I've traded up to the 109 to get him. I just got him at the 112 in one league. And I've actually seen him slip into the middle of the 2nd in one league as well.
204, right? Something like that.
Yeah, and it's crazy to me. It is really crazy to me. And even Will Levis, similar situation last year, wasn't given the starting job at the beginning of the season and had to kind of earn it, but was still getting drafted earlier than Michael Penix with less draft capital, with worse weapons on a worse offense. So I don't get it. I don't understand it, but I'll accept it. I'll take the Falcon quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, I understand it. People are, here's the mentality. I don't want to wait 2 years. Very reasonable, right? Like there is an outcome where Kirk Cousins plays well enough. The Falcons get to the divisional. They get to the conference championship. Mm-hmm. They're going to keep rolling with him. We saw this with Trey Lance, right? Like something happened. We don't know what it was where just Trey Lance never got a shot. Then he was traded and it was a big mistake. Jordan Love, he was being traded as if this happened. And then he broke out. Like if you took Jordan Love in a super flex, like, you were disappointed. You might've even traded him away for pennies on the dollar. And then it worked out. So there are roads here where people just don't want to deal with that. Hey, I have Trevor Lawrence and I have, Jared Goff and I have Baker Mayfield. What do I want this problem for? I'll just take Xavier Worthy in my draft. I'll just take Jonathan Brooks. So it's not for everybody, but if you talk about future value, he's completely insulated. Like you'll be able to get out of this pick if you don't like it in 6 months from now. And when there's teams that are quote playing for next year in week 4 already, you'll be able to get a 25 first for him.
Yeah, it should be easy. I just want it. I think it's easy.
And the upside's too much.
Yeah, and I mean the Jordan Love, the Trey Lance, both of those were already deemed as project quarterbacks coming out. Like Michael Penix is pro ready. So I just think there's a world where he starts this year. There's a world where he starts next year. And of course there is a world where he sits, but I'm not gonna assume that Kirk Cousins can stay healthy for 2 years. I'm just not gonna do it. When that signing happened, I said it here on Wake and Take. It's the most Atlanta Falcons move ever. It's all going to seem great. They're going to start off undefeated, and then he's going to re-tear his Achilles or something. That's just what happens to the Atlanta Falcons. It's just what happens to them.
So this is the plan. What's going to happen, right? So Aaron Rodgers on the Jets is going to play 2 years, and then what happens is the 2 years for Kirk Cousins expires. Penix goes in, and then of course the Jets will just take the next 38, 39-year-old quarterback. Kirk Cousins is the quarterback in 2026. For the New York Jets. They did it with Brett Favre. They're doing it with Aaron Rodgers. They start 38, 39-year-old quarterbacks. Book that in. We'll timestamp this for 2027.
Already putting the nail in the coffin on the Jordan Travis hype train.
Oh, I hear you. It looks like that could be good. I like Jordan Travis too, but more of that there's going to be outs for Kirk Cousins. So even I took Penix in a league where I have Kirk Cousins, and that could be a stock split in Dynasty, right? Where Kirk Cousins ends up on another team starting, and you have Penix. So I don't think that, like, sometimes I've heard the blowback, like, why do you want to take Bo Nix? You already have Cousins. You don't want to draft like a backup quarterback, so you get the stock split.
Yeah, I think I would like to have both those guys. Although,
Yeah.
I will just ask you here before we move on: are you taking Michael Penix or Bo Nix faced with that decision?
Penix. For me, it's an easy decision, but I understand wanting the immediate dopamine hit. Like, Bo Nix is going to start in all likelihood week 1. I mean, Jared Stidham could beat him out. It's possible, but Bo Nix will probably take a snap way before Michael Penix does. A real season, regular season.
I think that's the way to look at it too. But the ceiling is definitely higher for Penix with that landing spot.
When you're drafting Bo Nix, just pretend you're drafting Kenny Pickett, right? Like, those are the expectations.
There you go. I like that. So, rookie draft question into rookie drafts. We're in the thick of it. What's like kind of one piece of advice that you've taken away from this that you'd like the audience to know?
I mean, there's a couple of, like, with rookie drafts, it's the Wild West, right? There seems to be a big 8. Right, when you add McCarthy and Odunze and Brock Bowers and all the players that come before them, and then there's a tier that starts at 109 and goes all the way through the middle of the second round. So the cheap advice, but it is true, is trade back. Try not to trade up. I think, and also it's like, I've never seen second round picks. Like, I'm willing. You would never get a trade like this done. I'm willing to trade pick 109 for 2 middle-ish seconds. That's a trade that it can actually get done. If there's someone that's like, oh my God, I need pick 109, I'll take 204 and 209 for that, right? Because as I'm seeing it, those guys all have a similar probability. So normally you're trying to take those 2 seconds and trade into the first round. I think that this year, a rule that I've been is I don't want to make a pick at 109, 110. If I'm not taking Michael Penix, you and I agree. I want to split that into two chances.
Yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of shots you can take, especially in that range right now. It's a really, really deep rookie class. So I don't hate that call at all. Guys, trade back if you can. Start doing it. Try to pick up those extra fun coupons. Maybe even look into next year. People are throwing away 2025 picks right now for nothing.
What is your tip for people as they enter these drafts?
I mean, I'm almost taking an opposite approach. If you're sitting there at the 109 or 110, 111, and one of those Bo Nix, Michael Penix is sitting at you in the face in a super flex league, just take them.
That's good. I would do that too. But the reason I said take 204 is we are seeing Michael Penix drop to 202, 203, 204. So I
can't take that risk. But part of it is just being here in Atlanta and getting very excited about what could be the future and everything. But
I did that where I needed Penix. I told you I traded my 25 first for him, and I had to give up 210 for the privilege. I don't know if you like that trade or not. So I didn't have a pick. It wasn't like basically I took my random 25 first, gave it to the guy at 109, but he goes, hey, if I'm going to move back a year, I need something. I gave him 210.
I don't think that's bad. I traded up for 109 to get Michael Penix. I gave George Pickens a 26 second, a 26 third, and the 308 this year.
Yeah, you got it cheaper than I did.
George Pickens is a very interesting player to trade right now. He's either very high or low, and there's no in between. It's very interesting. The
210 that I traded away to get that extra was 80 Mitchell, which kind of, he's like this year's George Pickens.
Yeah. I think you come out ahead, especially as you start looking into 2025. You're like, oh, I missed my first, but you got Michael Penix.
I mean, he will be worth that plus more when he starts.
Exactly. So good. I think you made a good decision. And I'm sure that everyone that passed on Michael Penix right now is going to be pretty upset in a couple seasons. But, we are short-term memory people here in fantasy football. Alan, I want to give you a chance to put your flag on a couple players. Let's start with a rookie. Who's your rookie that you are targeting everywhere you can?
Now, is it cheap to rookie flag plant like a top 5, top 8-ish guy, or do you want to hear some? I have a couple flag. I'll do both really quick. I think, I like Drake May so much. Again, I would take him as high as pick 2 if I had to. And the reason is that one of our guys over at RotoWire, Mario Puig, who basically studies the rookies like the Torah, right? He said that there's a perception that Drake May is not a rushing quarterback and that he's going to be in that 600-700 rushing yard mix this year. So if you think of, if you're going to give me a quarterback, if we don't like the weapons that's going to take off and run, I think there's a lot of stink on Drake May for the New England landing spot. And if the receivers they drafted are even decent, plus the veterans they have there, I mean, we don't love KJ Osborne, we don't love Pop Douglas, but they're guys that have proven they can produce on an NFL field. I've been trying to trade up into that elite tier where I can to get Drake May. So that's a flag plant. I like him more than the field. And then Keon Coleman, I would take him ahead of Brian Thomas, ahead of Ladd McConkey, all those guys. I wrote him up for the Player Profiler rookie guide. I just think that Keon Coleman is that player that, like, if you're going to say which one of these receivers can have 15 touchdowns in a season, he seems like that guy that could have that upside. So he's my flag plan. I would take him ahead of ADP. How about you? Give me a couple, because I'm entering a rookie draft today.
Yeah, so I mean, I really like the Drake May call a lot, and I also do like the Keon Coleman call with their values right now, both of them kind of slipping. I mean, you've seen May go after McCarthy in some leagues, and you've seen Keon Coleman at the end of this wide receiver tier with Brian Thomas Jr. and Ladd McConkey. For me, my kind of middle range flag plans right now are the 3 wide receivers: Roman Wilson, Troy Franklin, and Javon Baker. I think those 3 have stud written all over them. And I'm very excited with their value right now.
If you were looking for like an end of the draft, the guy I keep drafting is Malik Washington on the Miami Dolphins, right? The guy who lead the nation in receptions. And it just seems like if Jalen Waddle or Tyreek Hill miss time and he does get an opportunity, he could be like the 7 for 60 guy, right? So he doesn't even get drafted in 5-round drafts sometimes. So I was originally taking him in the 4th. I realized I didn't have to quickly. So I've done 11 drafts. I have him in 9 of them.
I like that call a lot. We actually talked about him a little bit on Wake and Take yesterday, or maybe Monday when we talked about Odell. I do like the potential for Malik Washington. Those smaller, shifty, route-running wide receivers, we just saw Tank Dell do it. We've been seeing some other examples like T.Y. Hilton in years past. Generally, the good ones crack the rosters and then end up getting some playing time. So I think that's a free call, a little free space. Is either Malik Washington, or if you want to go for my free space, Ryan Flournoy. I think that both of those guys.
Tell me about him, because I keep seeing his name pop up, and I have to admit I don't know much about Flournoy.
So Ryan Flournoy, you're going to get a massive spiel from me here. He's my like super rookie flag plan. I should have just answered with him. He's huge to me. He was the first guy. This was the first time I got to go to the Senior Bowl. So I went in with a ton of open expectations. But most importantly, I was going in waiting to see Xavier Legette. That was kind of the player that everyone's like, oh, the next A.J. Brown is there. The next DK Metcalf is there. So I'm looking for this big-bodied, bulky dude that looks like strong, catching all these passes. And my eyes immediately went to Ryan Flournoy because I couldn't see the names. There might not have even been names. Take a picture of him. And I'm like, that's not Xavier Legette. Who's this guy? It's Ryan Flournoy. And he gets catch after catch after catch, getting open after open after open. And then I go and research his story. He is a late bloomer in high school, graduates 5'10", so he has a 0-star recruit, but grows into 6'2", 210 pounds, goes D2 kind of in the COVID years, so it's weird. He has to go to the JUCO route. He tears his ACL, recovers from the ACL, leads his JUCO team in receiving, transfers D1, leads that team in receiving in back-to-back seasons. Stands out at the Senior Bowl, gets a combine invite because he did so good at the Senior Bowl that NFL scouts wanted to see more measurables on him, and then crushes at the combine as well. 4.44 40-yard dash, all of his workout metrics on Player Profiler in the 80th percentile or higher. Gets drafted by the Dallas Cowboys.
Sixth round, right?
Dallas Cowboys, and second fastest GPS speed at the combine, second to Keon Coleman. In the gauntlet, and the person who was first last year was Puka Nacua, so we've seen some kind of success from the game speed element on him as well. And if you trust Twitter's math bomb, the raw athleticism score guy, he is the 37th most athletic wide receiver since 1987.
Listen, I'm persuaded. Again, I always remain open. I see Flournoy's name, and mostly, like I'm sure a lot of drafters experience, like, oh, I don't know who that guy is. I'm not going to take him. But you get, this is Wake and Take, man. I like everything you said there, and you could basically pick the round. Like if you're in a 5-round draft, you might not even need to draft him. You could probably put 12 fab on him in the rookie waivers and get him. I have not seen him drafted. Well, in your drafts, you probably take him, but in most drafts, he's probably not taken. I like that a lot. How come? So he only played 2 years at Southeast Miss State.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So he's an early declare, or what? I mean, when you said senior.
No, so he did JUCO before that. So and those stats just aren't. He did 2 years of JUCO, one of them being an ACL year, and a year before that in like Central Missouri or something like that, some D2 school. So he's late, but he's a late bloomer in general. Like he was under 6 feet tall in high school, so he didn't get recruited much, but he's a stud. I tell you, when you have some free time today, go watch a Ryan Flournoy highlight tip. You'll be very excited about it.
Yeah. I mean, I really do like that take. Again, it's that's someone that no one's talking about, and you laid out a very persuasive case.
Thank you. Thank you. So, Alan, before we get you out of here, can you leave us with a hot take?
This is well, I'm with you on the Jameson Williams thing. Like, I think this time next year, this is not the hot take, but this time next year, we're going to be talking about Jameson Williams as like in the George Pickens realm, where like he's like a real tradable asset here. So this is the last time to get him cheap. If you're on the clock at 2-8 in the Roman Wilson types there, like I'm trading that pick to get Jameson Williams. He popped off in the real NFL, in the real NFL playoffs. So my hot take is, again, I love boring players. Here it is. Najee Harris returns to top 12 RB1 status in 2024.
I love it. I think that's a great call. You get the Arthur Smith offense. The Steelers already lean into him a ton, and they don't pick up that fifth-year option. People might think that's a bad thing.
It's a good thing.
It's a good thing because they are going to run that MFer into the ground next season.
Jason, have you ever rented a car? How do you treat that rented car? I'm just curious.
I treat it well, but I'm a very anxious person.
It's not you, the proverbial you.
The proverbial you destroys a rental car and does not fill it up before returning it.
And not necessarily destroys it, but just, maybe they take turns a little harder, or they step on the gas at the light, or, they use it to its full potential, regardless of any negative outcomes. Najee Harris, it's top, and he's already been there. He's already been a top 12 running back for fantasy football. This is the time. Like, if you are a wide receiver drafter, tight ends, quarterbacks, this is the player I'm buying to fill in on and again, it's a 1-year rental, but it's going to be a damn good year for Najee Harris.
What's so weird about Najee Harris is name another running back. Chat, I challenge you. Name another running back that's had 3 straight seasons over 1,000 yards without missing a game.
I didn't even know Najee never missed a game. Yeah, no, is it Zeke Elliott? Could he have been someone that did it?
Like that, maybe? That's like, we have to guess. Like, it's like, it is honestly unheard of. And I really don't know why he's so disrespected. Like, I understand Jaylen Warren, like, people are like, oh, it's kind of fun. He's eating into a snapshot. Well, but even with Jaylen Warren, he's had 1,000 yards and not missed games and scoring touchdowns. Like, it's
Najee Harris valued at running back 28 in Dynasty, which basically means he's gettable. I'm not saying go pay a first-round pick, but man, if you need a running back and both Benson and Brooks are gone in your rookie draft and you're sitting there and, Xavier Legette is there and, any of the first-round receivers that, Ricky Pearsall, and you're giving up value, right? You're not getting what you need a little bit more in return, but that is a target for Dynasty players who need a running back and can't get any of the rookies.
I think it's a great one. I really do. That's a really good call. In best ball and Dynasty,
trade Blake Corum for him straight up.
That's such a good one. That's a really good call. I like that a lot. Alan, it has been an absolute pleasure. We have 563 people watching live right now. Who knows how many people of those are robots, but still, they're here to see your beautiful face, and they want to learn where they can find you some more. So why don't you go ahead and tell the audience what you're working on, where they can find you?
Real men only broadcast for robots, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. No, what's it called? In order for those eyeballs to come in, people do have to click on Twitter. They need to take the volume. They need to put the volume on.
Okay.
Or on YouTube, they need to actually click on the video. So I would say there's almost no chance that there's robots. Follow me at Alan Seslowsky on the social media platform formerly known as Twitter. That's what we call it nowadays, right? And then RotoWire YouTube, man. I'm there all the time. And right now we're a little more baseball focused, but we do have a Dynasty playlist, and we got to get you back on the show. After we're done here, we'll pick a date. And if you can't get enough Jason on Wake and Take, we'll get some Jason on the RotoWire Dynasty podcast this summer.
That sounds awesome. I would love to join you on that. Always a pleasure chopping it up with you. I'd love to have you on Wake and Take again soon over the summer. You have a wonderful rest of your day. Enjoy the Dynasty Roundtable later tonight. And audience, you guys have a wonderful Wednesday. Fantastic rest of your week. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you all tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern. Peace.